There's so many different directions I can take when talking about Mike Leach. There's three big ones. One, offensive internet innovator. Two, a couple of the controversies he's been involved in. And then three, he is the most quotable coach in college football, bar none, not even close. What's up, everybody? It's Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, anything like that, hit the red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Also hit the like button. Anything like that helps the channel out. It's free to you, won't cost you anything other than being up to date on all things football. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, we got a more somber one right now. There was a happening recently that it's health related to a coach, a very, very famous coach. Let's get into that article right now because it has to deal with our boy, Mike Leach. Here we are on ESPN.com. Mississippi State football coach Mike Leach is still in critical condition. This happened yesterday morning, and he comes over here and it basically says that he had a personal health issue. It was a massive heart attack, apparently. And from what I understand right now, he's in comfort care. And again, if any of that changes right now, please let me know. I'm hopefully he makes it through this. I'm posting this ahead of time. I'm posting this, every minute counts right now for him. So hopefully he's doing all right. But again, it continues here. Unless Leach, who's in his third season as the Bulldogs head football coach, was at practice with the team Saturday as they were preparing for Illinois on the January 2nd ReliaQuest Bowl. Defensive coordinator Zach Arnett is taking over for him. But right now, we're hoping 61 years old. We hope he can continue to recover because he's a treasure according to the football world. There's so many different directions I can take when talking about Mike Leach. There's three big ones. One, offensive internet innovator. Two, a couple of the controversies he's been involved in. And then three, he is the most quotable coach in college football, bar none, not even close. So you come down here and check him out. And again, he's known for being the mastermind behind the NCAA record-setting air raid offense. Him and Hal Mummy. By the way, we'll get into the air raid offense in a second here. But you can see the fact he's come over here. He was, was originally a football player, got injured, was at BYU kind of like as an assistant, kind of a graduate assistant kind of situation there. And, he was raised Mormon, raised by the Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it says right here that he, when he was at BYU with Lavelle Edwards, he would sit in there on meetings with him, Norm Chow, Jim McMahon, Steve Young, Mark Wilson, and he really, really learned from this offense. Because BYU played a pass offense, because BYU played a pass-oriented offense, which is uncommon in college football. He graduated and he went to Pepperdine and got his law degree. But then he asked his wife, he was like, well, do you want to have a lot of money and have me be miserable every day? Or do you want me to be happy? And she was like, I want you to be happy. So he ultimately did not become a lawyer and decided to take his talents to football. Now, it's kind of interesting when you see this because he played rugby. Rugby does not have any forward passing. And then he was a coach at Cal Poly, an offensive line coach. Then the College of the Desert as a linebackers coach. Then the Pori Bears in the Finland Football Association. And then he went to Iowa Wesleyan to be the the center and the O-line, or offensive coordinator and offensive line coach for them. And then he went to Valdosta State, and then Kentucky as offensive coordinator, and then Oklahoma as offensive coordinator for 1 year. And then he went to Texas Tech as a head coach. And there he was pretty successful, a lot more successful than you would think he would be. 7-6, 7-5, 9-5, 8-5, 8-4, 9-3, 8-5, 9-4, 11-2 in 2008. And then 8-4, 2009. He was ultimately let go, and then he went to Washington State, where he went 3-9, 6-7, 3-9, 9-4, 8-5, 9-4, 11-2, and then 6-7. And then he was at Mississippi State, where in COVID year he was 4-7, then 7-6, and then this year he went 8-4. So you can see the fact that there was a big gap there between 2009 and 2012. Well, what happened there was when he was at Washington State, when he was at Texas Tech, he got into a situation where it was Adam James, who was Craig James, the former broadcaster for ESPN and the analyst. He suffered a concussion. He put him into this, this holding facility. It was a whole big situation there. Anyways, he has been noted because he's a very, very brash coach, very, very bold in what he says, almost borderline. You're like, is this appropriate for him to say this? He's always been known for speaking his mind, and it puts you in these situations where not only does he give you amazing quotes, it also gives you kind of potentially weird situations. He told a couple of his receivers this year. There's a very, very famous clip of him folding up all of their chairs on the sideline. He took them, folding them up because his receivers weren't being tough, or because his offensive players weren't being tough too. One player actually transferred this year because he said that he didn't coach. Leach didn't think he was being tough enough or something like that. So you can see that Coach Leach, and the crazy thing about that is I bet a lot of people were like, yeah, that sounds like Coach Leach. He was just a really interesting guy. But make sure that we're on the same page here. An absolute offensive genius. Again, we come over to the air raid offense, and you can see this. It was popularized by Mike Leach, Hal Mumme. Now, it was more popularized by Mike Leach because he was a more successful coach than Hal Mumme was. Sonny Dykes, again, right now, TCU, doing pretty good. But we come over here and we see the fact that this system is notable for 60 to 75% of the time they call passing plays. Nowadays, that's not very shocking, but back in the day, it was really, really shocking. You see the fact that there was a couple different plays here. It actually even says, this section may be too technical for most readers to understand. And we talk about what it says here. Fundamental air raid concepts like the mesh, stick and corner, all curls, four verts, and fast screens. These plays are designed to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quickly, stretch the defense horizontally and vertically, and allow the quarterback to key on one defensive player who will be forced to make a decision on which receiver to cover in the assigned area. That was a really, really important thing too here. It also talked about the offensive lineman split. So the offensive lineman was split was because what you can do is if your offensive linemen are normally split, the defensive linemen have X distance. If you spread them out, they have to spread out theoretically with the defensive line or with the offensive line. You might be able to move them in, but then you can run little tunnel screens and this and that. So what you could do is that you can actually protect your offensive line by spreading out the offensive line, and then the defensive line spreads out, and so on and so forth. You're able to kind of create extra distance in between the defensive lineman and the quarterback. Really, really cool concept that nobody really thought of, but he really put this into effect. You come down here and you see the coaches that ran the system, Hal Mumme and then Mike Leach. Mike Leach has a huge tree of people in over here. We come over here, Dana Holgorsen, Sonny Dykes, Mike Gundy. These aren't under Mike Leach at this point, but they are associated with the air raid system. Kevin Sumlin, Phil Longo, Matt Mumme, things like Todd Monken. So there's a lot to work off of there. You come over to his coaching tree, and it's really, really interesting here because, again, he served under Lyle Sensich at Cal Poly, Hal Mumme at Iowa Wesleyan, Valdosta State in Kentucky, and then Bob Stoops 1 year under Oklahoma. The assistant coaches under him, who eventually became head coaches, Art Briles, Jeff Choate, Sonny Dykes, Greg McMacken, Ruffin McNeil, Dana Holgorsen, Seth Luttrell, Lincoln Riley, Ken Wilson. Lincoln Riley, Dana Holgorsen, Sonny Dykes, he's doing just fine this year. Okay, Dave Aranda was a GA under him, and then players who were under him who eventually became coaches were Cliff Kingsbury, Neil Brown, Seth Luttrell, Josh Heupel, Eric Morris, and Sonny Cummey. Josh Heupel over at Tennessee doing just fine right now. Cliff Kingsbury, unfortunately, is not doing as fine as you would want him to do, but for the most part, really, really well respected here. He is definitely a well-known name in terms of offensive football. We see that with a lot of different things. One thing there I want to bring up is the mesh concept. It's really cool to kind of look at the mesh concept. Come over here to the mesh concept, and the mesh concept, it seems super, super similar, but in general, what it has is again, it's not a pick. It's called a rub. Two players are going to run right by each other. One's going to go high, and one's going to go low. You'll be able to see that on a couple plays here. One goes just a little bit up here, one just a little bit below here. Well, this is a man coverage situation. One guy's tight on this guy, one guy's tight on this guy. The offensive players know where they're going. Sometimes the defensive players don't, and they don't look. So those rubs can create, especially against man coverage, a wide open guy over here because somebody hits somebody and a wide open guy over here. So there's lots of little situations like that. The mesh play is, you can run it in a couple different formations. This guy's the outside guy that comes over. This guy outside guy comes over here. This guy runs a little corner route. This guy runs a wheel. This guy runs a stop here in the middle. There's so many little things you can do with the mesh concept. But again, started from the air raid system. Not the first one to run it, but the first one to, we'll say, perfect it. And then there's so many tweets right now. If you ever want to get something, I really appreciate what Twitter has done here because Twitter, thrives off of negativity. But one of the cool things about Twitter is you can come over here and it's got all these cool quotes here. He's got ridiculous quotes. His quotes about, weddings, his quotes about pirates, his quotes about what people say about him in the media. He is absolutely hilarious. He's super dry humor. So if you like really, really animated humor, you are not going to like him. If you like dry humor, you are going to love him. He's absolutely hilarious. But anyways, I wanted to make sure I gave credit to Mike Leach just in case he no longer makes it. We hope that he does, but I wanted to make sure I can appreciate him for what he's done for the game. And a big thing here, B.J. Simmons, former quarterback for Texas Tech when he was there, from high school to the NFL. Every football game you watch today has Mike Leach's fingerprints on it. That's 100% true. You need to give credit where credit is due. He is absolutely impacting the NFL every single game, college, every single game, and so on. So here's to him hopefully being okay. We don't know what's going to happen here. And again, this report as it comes out from me, this video as it comes out from me, might be too late. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. But Mike Leach, we really appreciate what you've done. You've really helped out the game. The game is better because of you. And, I hope that you make a fast and speedy recovery. But, we're waiting with bated breath. Hopefully you're okay, my man. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that. I really appreciate it. Hopefully he's all right, man. But you guys have a good day. I'm out.